Welcome, NFL football fans. It's that time again, and time for another edition of NFL Football Talk. This is an Inside Sports production. I'm your host, Charles E. Smith Jr., and here we are all the way up to Week 8 of the 2016 NFL season. Things are starting to get a little bit strange. Some teams that were supposed to do well are not, and then vice versa. We're going to sort through it all and also give you our picks of the week and, of course, our Gambler's Delight special. So all you who may be going to Vegas this weekend, you want to tune in for that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You know I don't work alone here. I do only enlist the help of the very, very best. So here he is, a very proud Rutgers alum from somewhere here in beautiful Southern California. Many of you follow him on Twitter at Chris L Sports, and if not, you should be. The man who was ecstatic as he watched the New York Giants beat the Rams in London this weekend, Chris Lardieri. Chris, what's happening out there, man?
Charles, great intro as always. Thanks. Happy to be back. I think I was more ecstatic about the fact that I slept in for the vast majority of that game and only had to endure the fourth quarter. But a win is a win. And as I said to you during the game, special thanks, early Christmas presents out to the Rams and poor Case Keenum.
Okay, so who did you send flowers to? Did you send them to Case Keenum, or did you send them to receiver Tavon Austin, who seemed to have, the balls always hit his hands and pop up for the easy interceptions? Or do you just send them to Landon Collins, who had that terrific, and it's got to be one for the ages, got to be the interception return for touchdown of the year, that fantastic pick six?
All the above. Flowers can get a little bit pricey, so I sucked it up just because it was such a inspiring win. But in all seriousness, Collins played a phenomenal game. If you missed that return, watch it. It was great. Total determination and lack of tackling on the Rams' part. The determination by Collins. And then Tavon Austin, we talked about this years ago in the Super Bowl with Wes Welker. The ball hits your hands, you got to catch it. It's your fault. And right place, right time for Collins. And let's not forget, special shout out to Brian Quick, who not sure if he didn't get the memo on that pass or what, but as Dan Fouts aptly said during the game, it was like a fair catch for DRC in the end zone.
Right, yeah, that was beauty. In fact, I'm sure Mr. Rogers Cromartie couldn't even believe it. He was just standing there watching that ball arc up into the air and into his arms. So let me ask you, everybody, of course, in the football world, and especially in Rams Nation, they're all screaming for Jared Goff. Was that all Case Keenum's fault? Now, it could be Case Keenum because when you throw four picks, you throw four picks, but you could be blaming Tavon Austin, and though I hate to quote T.O. at any point, Terrell Owens was on a talk show earlier this week, and he said this. He said, everybody's talking about Case Keenum, he says, but had Tavon Austin been Terrell Owens, nobody would have been saying anything about Case Keenum. They would have been talking about how Terrell Owens dropped those passes.
Yeah, he's got a point, and you can't blame Keenum for all those interceptions. Right. You can blame him, however, for not getting the ball in the end zone. But in his defense, the Rams' wide receivers leave a lot to be desired, to say the least. And hand in hand with that, poor Todd Gurley really struggling this season. Defenses are absolutely keying on him, and he just can't get going. They're daring the Rams to throw.
Yeah, that's true. And, speaking of running backs, and transition over to the AFC, and Jay Ajayi, who I wish his name was easier to say, but running back for my Miami Dolphins, 2 straight 200-yard games. And what I think here is with the Dolphins having the bye this week, I think he's got a chance to get rested up and basically go for 3 straight 200-yard games. That'd be quite the accomplishment there.
Yeah, it definitely would, although you may have to asterisk it that he's getting the benefit of the bye week. But in the process, he forced Arian Foster into retirement, so another accomplishment. Yeah,
that's true. I was never a big Foster fan, but I do appreciate the fact that Foster, he signed with the Dolphins. He was going to play it out, and I think when he saw that, really he was kind of leaving the running back position in good hands with Ajayi as Ajayi developed, then you can go ahead and retire because, groin injuries, if you ever had one, it's horrible. Horrible. All you do is spend your whole week just figuring out what you cannot do. It's like, okay, it hurts to walk. It hurts to sneeze. I have no lateral movement. That's pretty much the way it is with a groin injury.
Yeah, and it's something so trivial like a pull in a muscle. Like absolutely, I pulled mine once, and not fun to say the least. But the guy throughout his career, he kind of slipped in the draft coming out of Tennessee, was a battler, had some nice years with the Texans, and really overachieved when you look at his career. But like you said, props for him for realizing the end was near. Most of these guys just stick it out and collect a check.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and move on here. Now, we talked about, TV ratings is still, on everyone's lips here, and we had that horrible, horrible Sunday night game, which fortunately I was out and I only saw the overtime, which was really, the overtime was great. And now they're talking about, should they go back to the rule where the first team that scores wins? So we got to remember that they changed the rules, and the NFL can say whatever they want. But they changed the rules because Brett Favre, who threw more interceptions than any quarterback in history, that includes Vinny Testaverde, when he blew that playoff game with with Minnesota against New Orleans, then they said all of a sudden, both teams should have a chance to possess the ball. And that's when they changed it. And now look what you've got.
I'm fine with the rule the way it is. You know what? If anything, Sunday night, as bad as it was, showed that it works, because the game would have been over after one field goal. Let both teams have the ball. And if you allow a touchdown on the first possession, you deserve to lose in sudden death. So I like it. What we're seeing this year, and we're seeing also with the Patriots and Gostkowski, is kicking suddenly become atrocious in the NFL. Not only are these guys missing gimme field goals, they're missing extra points at an alarming clip. So, Chandler Cannizzaro may want to stop taking lessons from the Roberto Aguayo school of kicking. He might want to start making some field goals, because I don't think Bruce Arians is too happy with him after Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. But looking at how these guys are kicking, unless you can get an Adam Vinatieri, honestly, is it basically like shuffling retread kickers who can't make field goal? Who missed a 35-yarder most recently is the guy who gets cut, and whoever, it's been at least 2 or 3 months since you missed a 35-yarder, you replace him with that guy. That's pretty much what it's coming down to.
Or, let's not forget, Charles, the NFL, they've got a really great domestic violence policy, and if your kicker threatens his wife and does it at the Pro Bowl and the league and the team look the other way, then you have to go pick up another one of the retread kickers. But I kind of digress there, but I think we got an interesting situation here on our hands. Did the Giants know, and did the Mara family, who've owned the team forever and is held in high esteem up there with the Rooneys, etc., did they cover it up, or did the league know and drop the ball again? And the proverbial, we couldn't get the police report excuse. So we could have some sort of battle royale on our hands to watch down the road here. It's reprehensible regardless. I don't know who's to blame, but I could see a he said, she said, where John Mara might point the finger at Goodell, and Goodell points a finger back at the team, and we could have a real power play. But that's a little bit further down the road. Either way, it was completely botched, and another case of let's suspend a guy one game for domestic violence, but don't you dare deflate footballs.
or not have your socks meet your pants, or have your jersey untucked, or anything horrible like that.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to wonder, though, with the Giants, because they say they're waiting for everything to play out with the league. That's why they hadn't really taken any action. But here you are. You have the chance to go ahead and take the lead and make the suspension if you want to as a team. So I don't understand where that. Yeah, it's just strange, because it seems, is there hypocrisy maybe on the sides of both the league and the Giants? What do you think?
Oh, quite possibly, and yet another perfect storm of the right arms and lefts doing with the NFL, which we've become accustomed to under Roger Goodell's watch. So regardless, it's another PR blemish. And getting back to the declining ratings, I know people like to attribute it to Kaepernick, but as we've been saying here the last few weeks, product isn't as good as it's been. But I'm going to throw in a little wild card here. I'm guessing the women viewership's down, and it's incidents like this that aren't going to bring a lot of females back to put eyeballs on TV. So something to keep an eye on.
That's true. And, Josh Brown, because of his thing, it completely overshadowed the Cleveland Browns bringing in Art Briles, who was fired at Baylor because he basically enabled a rape squad while he was there. They bring him in to motivate the Cleveland Browns to try to win a game. Just seriously, where does it end?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe RG3 owed him a favor. I really can't figure that one out. But desperate times call for desperate measures. I really have baffled by that. But Yeah, maybe the money ballers in charge of the Cleveland Browns shouldn't be worrying about bringing in consultants and might want to keep an offensive line intact, because what are they on, quarterback 5 now with Kevin Hogan?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere around there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. The picks of the week segment. We do that. We get 3 of the more intriguing matchups of the week. We pick the games, and we kind of keep track a little bit and see who's going to win what. And then also we have our Gambler's Delight pick, which you got to stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and get to the first game here, which is the Seattle Seahawks, who seem to do whatever they need to do to win. It's like if they need to outscore you, they do that. If they need to beat you, well, okay, it was a 6-6 tie, but in New Orleans to play the resurgent New Orleans Saints, who they look like they were out of it, but now here they are, 2-4, and if the Saints can get this big win, they'll be right back to getting into the thick of the playoff race. So how do you see this one? Seattle going into New Orleans. What do you think, Seahawks or the Saints?
I'm going with the Seahawks. That said, I don't think it'll be the blowout that we normally be accustomed to with the Hawks. I do think the Saints' defense is atrocious, and it's just what the struggling Seahawks offense needs. And on the flip side, while Drew Brees has really done a lot with so little on the offensive side of the ball, I just watching that Seattle D against Arizona Sunday night, I don't think they'll have a problem at all shutting him and Mark Ingram down. Could be a sloppy game, could be a lot lower scoring than we anticipate, or even closer than we think, but I think the Seahawks win. I really don't see a way that the Seattle D can get the stops and eat up the clock. So Russell Wilson, I guess he'll finally throw a touchdown pass this week. How about that bold prediction?
I think so, and you know what? It's hard to go against Seattle. I'm leaning towards the Saints, but looking at Seattle and how they come through, like I said, they seem to do whatever they need to do to win the game, whether it's pretty, it's ugly, or anything in between. I like Seattle as well to get to 5-1-1 on the season, so we're going to be in agreement on that one. And let's go ahead to the next game, Arizona in Carolina to take on the Panthers. Now, they last met, you remember the NFC Championship game last year, 42-15 Carolina, as Carolina went on to the Super Bowl, but the teams have played a lot different this year. Arizona going into Carolina, and I think Arizona, they shake off that ugly game last week. They go into Carolina. They deliver a knockout blow to Cam Newton. That's it. It's going to drop the Panthers to 1-6. There's going to be turmoil and everything next week in Carolina because, I got the Cardinals to win this one.
I normally go with you, but the Cardinals' pass offense is so atrocious. The fact that I'm going to give the Panthers one last chance coming off a bye week, and if the Panthers can do anything on defense, they are at least adequate on the run. And David Johnson, I think, is a phenomenal talent. I think we could be looking at one of the best young running back in the NFL, and I think we'll have a nice game. But at the end of the day, Carson Palmer would probably have problems beating a lot of college football teams right now. I think if this week off and Cam's last sulking press conference doesn't motivate him, I don't know what will. But I think the Panthers are facing an uphill battle, but I do think they get the win this week. And you want to talk about a team in turmoil, whoever loses this game is really facing a tough road ahead, and we're barely halfway through the season.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're picking a team that lost to Tampa Bay on Monday night just a week ago. Is that right?
I sure am. But you know what, Charles? If Brock Osweiler can win a football game, anything can happen.
That's true, and that's why they play the game, folks. Okay, so let's get to the last game. This will be the Rookie Rumble. We've got Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles going into Dallas to take on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, and also a division rivalry as well. Perfect for a Sunday night. And how do you see this one? You going with the Eagles flying or Zeke, Dak, and the Dallas Cowboys? What do you think?
Pains me to say this, but I'm going with Dallas. I do like the way they're playing. I love the fact that it's causing all sorts of controversy and stress for Jerry Jones with the imminent return of Tony Romo. But that offensive line and the way Elliott's running the ball and Prescott's doing just enough to win. Was impressed with the Eagles last week with that win over the Vikings. Their defense really stepped up, and Wentz did enough to win. But I just think it's tough going down there to that huge stadium in Texas. And I think the Cowboys know they're at this point now where they can control their own destiny with another NFC East win. And lo and behold, Des Bryant's back, and normally I think that would lead to chaos, but that's another weapon for Prescott that the Eagles are going to have to account for. So going to take a spoonful of sugar with my medicine and pick Dallas to win.
Okay, there you go. And you know what? I got to go with Dallas, too. When you look at them playing at home, and what I like about Prescott is that he's done all this without Des Bryant being in the lineup. So, yeah, now with Des Bryant, like you said, that's an additional weapon. No reason to think the Dallas offense is going to slow down here. They got a good offensive line. I don't think Philadelphia will be able to really get that much pressure on Prescott. So I like the Dallas Cowboys to get to 6-1 here, and, you know, aside from that poor clock management in Game 1, I think they'd be 7-0, right? Going for 7-0. So I like the Dallas Cowboys too.
It's about time we agree, right?
Okay. So there we go. And just to recap, we're both taking the Seahawks to take care of business against New Orleans, and then we split. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to take down Carolina and basically snuff out any hope, whereas Mr. Lardieri thinks Carolina's going to dig deep and come up with one when they really need it. And then we both take the Cowboys to take care of business on their home turf in Dallas there against the Eagles. Okay, everybody, so now comes the one of our favorite segments here, the Gambler's Delight Special. What this is if you have $10 and you're at a sports book in Vegas and you got to put it down on one NFL bet, we give our choices on what you should do. So for the season, I've been 2 out of 3, whereas Mr. Lardieri is a perfect 4-0, because there's the 1 week we didn't have a show. He made his pick, he got it to me, it's confirmed, and he was correct. So he is a sparkling 4-0 on the year. Mr. Lardieri, winner goes first. Talk to me, Gambler's Delight.
Oh, why, thank you. Special thanks last week. I sucked it up again and picked the Eagles getting the points, and Philly didn't even need them, but I know my good friend Jerry, a very loyal Eagles fan, agreed with me, and I was rewarded to keep the streak alive. Going with that theme, let's take another underdog, Charles. There's a team that we like to beat upon, but frankly, they've been playing very well, and they've been doing very well against the spread. Even when they lose, they keep it close. And this team is the San Diego Chargers. You know, they've had a lot of injuries. There's one thing to say about Phillip Rivers. He's resilient. Big win down in Atlanta. Defense seems to be coming around. Joey Bosa, the most vilified man in San Diego a couple months ago, is now looking like an established pass rusher. Well, look, depending on where you look, I've seen 4.5. If you can get 5, take it. Regardless, I think the Chargers keep this game close. They did it last year at the end of the season in Peyton Manning's grand re-entry into the game in the second half of the last game of the year. Rivers has gone on record saying he likes playing in Denver. I'll go with it, take the points. Could the Chargers win? Possibly. It could be a little bit of a Monday night hangover. C.J. Anderson hurt, and frankly, I don't see Trevor Siemian beating you, so if the Chargers can stop that run, they've got a shot, but at the very least, I think they'll keep it close, and if you're a gambling man, which I am not, only in the state of Nevada, take the points, go with the Chargers. Let's hope the streak continues.
Okay, there you go. And, well, for mine, even though my record has been blemished, but I've been pretty good at picking these over-unders. What I'm doing is picking another over-under here, and I'm going with the Detroit Lions in Houston to play the Texans. Over-under is 45.5 last time I checked. So go ahead and take the under on that one. I think it's going to be played close to the vest. Matt Stafford, quarterback for the Detroit Lions, he's been really getting things going, but I think it's one of those where both these teams are at a critical point in the season. When you look at the records, Houston sitting at 4-3, and then Detroit sitting at 4-3 also. They both need this game, so I think it's going to be played a little bit tight, a little close to the vest. Not a whole lot of scoring. So go ahead and play the under on Houston and Detroit, and you can thank both of us next week.
I'm going to go out on a limb, Charles, and say I think Brock Osweiler and the Houston offense will hold up their end of the bargain. How about that?
Okay, I definitely hope so. So, you know, before we sign off here, remember, you can follow me on Twitter at The Inside Sports, or follow Mr. Lardieri on Twitter at Chris L. Sports, or you can follow both of us if you like. After all, this is America, hence my USA hat. So, Mr. Lardieri, before we sign off, any final words for the NFL watchers out there?
Yeah, you know, this goes hand in hand a little bit with fantasy football, a little bit with those of us that like to digest as much NFL on Sunday as we can. Who's making the schedule at the NFL? We had 2 teams on bye week last week and 6 this week. So separate of the fantasy nerds, what that leaves you is 2 games in the late window on Sunday, 1 o'clock for us on the West Coast, 4 on the East. Fill in your times accordingly.
Right.
Secondly, I'm hearing so many stories about teams that are like, yeah, they're not going to go on the road for a month, or including the bye week, they'll be home. And you look at the Rams, they're probably going to have like close to a month in between home games before they play the Panthers here in L.A. I don't understand. I remember the good old days. Maybe you'd be home 2 weeks in a row, on the road 2 weeks. But, not to go off on a Jerry Seinfeld observation here, but just something I've noticed. I just don't get it. You should have about the same amount of teams on bye each week. I know there'll be some weeks you won't, but to go from 2 to 6 is a head-scratcher for me.
Yep. Agreed. And, before I let you go, not necessarily asking for a prognostication, but who are you pulling for, Indians or Cubs, in the World Series?
I'm pulling for the Native Americans. Reasons twofold. One, I want Chicago to continue to suffer. We had the Red Sox. We had a lot of teams that had these quote-unquote curses. A, I'd like that to continue, and B, I think it would be great if Terry Francona won a World Series with Cleveland and said to Boston, "See, I told you so." And then just selfishly as a Yankee fan, I really liked Andrew Miller. I wish they never got rid of him. So I hope he does great and tells the Yankees where to go. But yeah, so those are my somewhat clouded judgment pick for the Indians. And that said, I think you should probably, when you're in Vegas, run out and put money on the Cubs.
Okay, there you go. I just like to see the Indians win because it'd be great for, after all these years, to see Cleveland get 2 championships in the same year. Okay, everybody, so remember that's the show is NFL Football Talk. This is an Inside Sports production. For Chris Lardieri, I'm Charles E. Smith Jr. Enjoy the games of Week 8, and we'll see everybody next time. Thanks for watching.